Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. That be unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makah Kodash. Double honors and blessings into the elder apostles of GMS. Peace and salutations into the Akim pushing this truth in the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and their freedoms to do so. All right. As well as the Speckled Bird Prophecy brothers, the so-called strangers, man. Israelite foreigners who look like these other nations, man. But bloodline, seed line goes back to the 12 patriarchs of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are Israelites according to the scriptures, man. Okay? Who pertaineth the adoption and salvation, because we know universal salvation is foreign to the scriptures. Alright? It's never been a color thing. It is simply a bloodline thing. Okay? Whether you can receive that or not. We're not really here for that. But this is Drive and Talk episode 3. It's my third time doing this video, actually. The devil's been kind of messing with me, so I'm gonna go through it fast. Lord willing, to still be edifying, all right, until the elect. And Lord willing, I still hit all my points that I want to make in this video, man. All right, so I have a video I'm gonna allow play. I'm gonna pause it a few times, and I'm gonna interject maybe a scripture or two, and then we'll call it a video. But without further ado, here we go.
Erdogan asked Russia and Iran to back Turkey's incursion into Syria. Everyone, Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News. Well, here's something I don't think people are talking nearly enough about. As we're looking at Putin from Russia, Razi from Iran, Erdogan from Turkey, all meeting here in Tehran last week on the 19th.
So they all had a meeting. All right. For those of you who don't know, Turkey is a former NATO member who has broken off. Look, I guess the scripture says the NATO members will all break off, all right, and turn upon the whore, man. Turn on at Babylon. All right, because secular history is very important to understanding the scriptures, man, and to understanding what's about to happen. All right, Babylon is the Roman Empire. It has stretched its arm as far as it can go. It has military bases in every major nation in the world, and it's in everybody and meddling in everybody's affair, kind of doing what they want to. They are the big bad bullies of the world and the world police, so to speak. And the rest of the nations of the earth are tired of it, man. Okay? You can clearly see why they have stolen and robbed many nations, all right? But I'm gonna let the video play. You'll see for yourself, man.
And of course, the mainstream press, what they were talking about was Turkey's incursion into Syria and the whole situation with the Kurds. Okay. One of the things they did not discuss was another meeting that Erdogan wanted to have with Putin, but it had nothing to do with Syria. It has to do with NATO and Greece. And we'll get into that in a second, but look at this. Here's a Cheshire cat from Russia and the rat from Turkey using their Freemasonic handshake, as you can see right here. Same thing, guys. Don't ever think for a second that these guys aren't in on the whole game. Okay? What we're witnessing is a shift in power structure from the west over to the east.
And I'm glad he said that, man. Alright, because when the Roman Empire was near its destruction, it split into two groups. Alright, just as you have two groups of Edomites fighting each other, man. Two groups of Idumeans fighting each other over what they believe is going to be control over the earth, which is going back to Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, but the rest of the world are going to play their cards, and eventually, while in the middle of them fighting, Yahweh Shai is going to make his return. All right, and much like the Roman Empire, they broke into two, man, is what I'm trying to say. Is you have the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire, all right? And although they were both claiming Roman, all right, both Shemitites, both Idumea, very different cultural and very different morals and ways of going about things, man. Much the same, but much different, you see? And the East does not want American culture, and who would, man? It's death. So let's continue.
And that's a whole different segment as well, though. And we talked about that many, many times on this program. But this next meeting is going to be talking about Greece. The second topic of discussion is for Greek and Turkish. The Erdogan-Putin meeting comes as the Turkish drilling rig, this Abu Mahid Khan, will set sail for the southern Mediterranean on August 9th. Erdogan wants to discuss Turkey's full support plan in case a major crisis erupts with Greece and things get out of whack for Ankara within NATO. Yeah, they very well could. And so I'm going to skip down here a little bit to get to the conclusions of this article. So what are the main conclusions that can be drawn from what we read above? First, the three leading powers in the region form an informal alliance. That's Iran, Turkey, and Russia. Second, the United States was asked to leave Syria and the Kurds to quickly distance themselves from the Americans and recognize the power of Damascus. Third, Erdogan is almost turning into a defender of Syria's territorial integrity. Putin and Razi are also against U.S. troops inside of Syria. That was the other thing that was discussed, guys, is kicking the U.S. out of Syria. Putin is on record, just gave another speech talking about all this looting of Syrian assets, especially their oil.
Like I said, much like Rome, you go into these other countries and you steal resources, women and children for your sex slaves. Because, like, you know, we always talk about, man, these Edomites, their wickedness is stranger than fiction. It has no ends, and everything that they're done is going to be brought to the light soon, man. All right, and that's also a reason why you're seeing all this war, man. It's partially due to a large distraction that some of that dark shit is being revealed, man, and that pink little meat is out.
Needs to stop. And now with these three joining forces, it appears that it might. So in practical terms, this means that 4 countries, Russia, Iran, Turkey, and Syria, will soon launch an operation against the Americans pumping oil from Syrian soil. And also the fact that Turkey's possible anti-Kurdish military operation in northern Syria, if it happens now, will have very limited goals and will be directed against the military potential of the Kurds and not at the seizure of part of Syrian territory. So here's what Putin had to say on the matter at the end of the Tehran summit. There are some differences about what's happening in the Trans-Euphrates. Here, by the way, there is a common position that American troops should leave this territory. Remember, guys, the Americans were never invited. Ever, ever, ever. They have no legal basis for being there.
Vagabond, man.
And Putin went on to say they must stop looting the Syrian state and the Syrian people, illegally extracting oil from there. In our opinion, in order to ensure a long-term stable situation, it's necessary to transfer all this territory under the control of the official authorities of Damascus, under the control of the Syrian armed forces. Then a dialogue can be held with those responsible for it. I have said many times that the work of the Troika, the search for compromises, the finding of compromises led to the fact that more than 90% of the territory of Syria is controlled by the official authorities, which nevertheless broke the back of international terrorism. This is a great result of this joint work. And the speech goes on from there. So there you go, guys. This is a very...
So there you have it, man. All right? These nations are banding together. All right? Let the weak say I am strong. And let them stand up in congregation against the horde, man. All right? We're about to see some really rough times here in Babylon, man. All right? And I'm going to, do a video later, but more or less, I'm not going to get too much into the economy, but the dollar is dead, man. And one of the reasons you're seeing these allies, all right, turn on the American way, on NATO, and this, that, the next thing, is they can see the writing on the wall, much like the prophets have discerned the time wisely, man. All right, so continue to do so. I hope this lesson was edifying. Trust me, it's the condensed version. I recorded it 3 times now. But Lord willing, the information was on point, and it was edifying unto the elect, man. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakwadash. All right, peace and salutations unto you brothers out there pushing this truth and sincerity, risking your lives and freedoms to do so. And as always, Abba Babal and Kwam Yasha Allah, man. Shalom.